This is Alabama's win over Ole Miss this past weekend, and one of those that it kind of hung in there for a little while. It didn't look like, it was going to be a 2-point win at any point really in the first half. Alabama figured some things out offensively. They did get explosive plays. They got more of them than Ole Miss got, primarily because Alabama's defense really turned up the heat. And we'll see, they really turned it up and got more physical in the fourth quarter. And so it looked like a little bit of a confidence-building day for Alabama. Still not perfect, still a few issues, but the film shows it did some good things. Anytime you win an SEC game, you did enough good things. If you want to jump ahead to some of the specific plays, check out the timestamps in the description and there on the bottom on YouTube. Let's check it out. Here's an early 3rd and 2, and Milroe's going to keep the ball right here, basically just breaking the pass rush, 4-man pass rush, and go get the first down. And then you make one miss, and then it turns into a really big play. And that's just kind of athlete that he is. There's a couple of things interesting about this to me is, look at the coverage look for Ole Miss and the soft coverage look for Ole Miss, just rushing 4 on 3rd and 2. I mean, this is a Bama team that's got a great running quarterback, a good running back, and they only need 2 yards, but it's like because they line up in 2-by-2 with a tight end, for some reason, this is a really soft zone, coverage call on 3rd and 2. Like they are not at all expecting any sort of inside run on 3rd and 2. And it is the right, I guess you could call it a guess, because they are not trying to run the ball. So it's a perfect, well, I say perfect defensive call, but what's interesting, if you look, both corners, like one is soft and one is up on line of scrimmage, but they're both turning to the outside to kind of feed everything inside. Like, we're not going to give you outside release, we'll give you inside release, where you have 2 safeties in here helping. And so it doesn't look like a classic cover 2 with 2 deep safeties. It's really more like a cover 3, because you're deep. You do have deep over the top and deep in the middle, but I think you're running back here too. So it's like you're going to say, on these routes, they're only going to send 2 guys deep, whoever they are. We're sending 2 guys deep. And this gives us a chance to bracket inside and out both deep routes that you may run and force you to come underneath. And what I think that is, and this is just a guess, but I think that's a defensive coordinator saying, Milroe is great throwing a deep ball when you give it to him. He is excellent running the football. Okay, but his mistakes have come reading from the pocket when he's forced to throw against zone coverage in this underneath and intermediate part of the field. So even in a 3rd and 2 situation, it's like early on their game plan says we want him throwing in this part of the field underneath, reading against coverage. And this time he just makes them pay because you split the pass rush. I don't know if they're supposed to be running a twist right here with this tackle going over, because the right defensive tackle is kind of stepping over the left, and that just sort of vacates this area right here that the run goes through, because nobody comes in there. So who knows what the stunt was called, or if he just chose to do that. But that opened it up. And this is something for any opponent, I guarantee you, State's watching and talking about this kind of thing on film. Milroe is so fast and so quick and explosive. You just cannot take shallow angles. Even if you think you're taking the right angle, you're probably not. You've got to take flat angles because he is so quick. He'll be the fastest guy on the field. You're going to have to give up first downs to avoid giving up touchdown runs to a guy like this, because there's a defender who thinks he's got the right angle. Right here, if you watch him left side of your screen, just kind of put yourself in his shoes, and it's easy when you slow it down, but watch it full speed right here. Downhill turn, he's gone. Missed him altogether. Okay, and this is just going to be a power run for Milroe, led by the running back off the edge. We'll come back and look at formation, but it's 2nd and 6, kind of a power deal with a tight end, and here we go. And as if I'm coaching, it would be so tempting to call this kind of thing a lot. And no quarterback signs, with an SEC school to, come to school and run power, quarterback power a whole lot. But man, it would be tempting to run this a bunch with a kid like this, because he is such a weapon running the football. Look how they block it. So we'll go formation first. You got, bunch receivers effectively into the boundary. They give it sort of a coverage look. It's either man, they're going to jump in, or it's, 3 over 3 with help over the top, the safety. 4 on the front, so it's a 4-man front, and really 3 at the next level. That's a corner walked up here, but that's really, 2 linebackers, and he kind of acts like the next. And what they've done, it was the back to the left of the quarterback. If you were to run kind of a classic zone read type scheme with a quarterback, then the running back and the play side is back this way into the boundary, right? And the quarterback would read and potentially keep based on what you did over here if you didn't block somebody. And so that's why, because of the position of the running back and these guys into the boundary, if you look, Ole Miss sort of has their front shaded that way. So you're inside the tight end, you're over the guard, you got the 3 technique over here, and so the end is outside over here. So if we were to look, it's kind of shaded that way, and it looks like, that's wise because the back's on the other side. So what that does in the formation design of the play, because he's here, they shade their front this way. So when you run power, it makes it that much easier to seal these guys on the front, on the edge, and get to the next level and get your quarterback to the next level. So the design of the formation is very intentional, I think, right here for Alabama. You're getting the guard and tackle are supposed to be what looks like to me comboing up off of this, end to the backside linebacker, with the tight end off the edge to what is the, play side inside linebacker, with a lead from the running back out here on the corner. That's how that's, so anyway, that's the way it looks like it's how it's supposed to work for me, and it pretty much does, right? So there's the combo happening. And here's the thing. One thing you would want probably is tell your tight end, don't be guessing right here. You got to know pre-snap which one of these guys is yours and go get him. At this point of attack, if you're a tight end and you hit him, you're going to take 2 guys out. You're going to knock him into here, and it sort of cleans up the running lane for the running back. Instead, he kind of let him slip through. You see that? I mean, you get him blocked because you got help coming from inside, but you don't want him slipping through. And if you really attack him and tattoo him, you're going to knock him into his teammate and really make a clean running lane here for the quarterback. Because of that, it really kind of tightens it up. Good job, backside linebacker coming over and trying to get there. But again, watch the quickness here, this burst from Milroe. I mean, he's right by him. This is a guy who thinks he's taking the right angle. He's flat. I got him, I'm 2 yards away, and he hits the afterburners and is by him. And the guy barely gets a hand on him. It's hard for me to believe. That's how quick he is. Strong finish, too. All right, watch this one. Here's another example, a 3rd and 5 for Alabama down here approaching the red zone. And defensively, they go coverage, they put safeties. It's really dropping 4 across. They only rush 3, so you got 4 guys in the underneath coverage. And it just has the look to me of a defensive coordinator who said, we want him forced to read things against zone coverage in the middle, underneath, and out on the edge where he may give us a mistake. And if you look, it's an example where it kind of works for him because they drop coverage. They only rush 3, plenty of time. Can't decide where to go with the ball. Doesn't want to dump it to a running back right here. Thinks about it. And because they've got a spy on him who's free with no other responsibility, he's coming down and really forcing the issue, and you get a big sack. And that's just indecision. So there's a couple things here in the early games for Milroe that I see is that this is one thing that gets him. Like in this situation, if he's not thinking and not hesitating and just tucks it and runs, just becomes a runner much earlier in this play, you got a much better chance to make something happen with your legs. But the indecision and the hesitation, against coverage and not really, I think at times also, not really understanding, okay, what's my initial key on this read based on the formation? Is it this flat defender? If I'm underneath, do I go here immediately? Or if he bails, do I immediately go to my back and let him run? What's my initial key defender that I'm starting this read off of? And I think that gets him confused sometimes. That's just an experience thing. They're bringing a guy across against this zone, one underneath, running one off up top, and who knows what's going on the backside. But if you look from a coverage standpoint, they're just saying we're going, down here, we're going to 4 across. It's almost like cover 2. There's nobody threatening on this side, and you have an underneath defender on this side, so they just all drop. In these deep quarters of the field, wanting to read underneath. And it's almost like initially he wants to maybe throw that flat route on 3rd and 5. He does put his eyes in the middle of the field. But when that crosser is not going to come open, he's going to flip now and look here. And it's really more like he's looking at his guys than reading defenders. And when he's not sure where to go, a little bit of hesitation gets him. Like an athlete like him in this situation should never be a sack. This should never be a sack. It should at the very least be get out of the pocket, you throw it out of bounds, or get out and get back to the line of scrimmage, or dump it to somebody. It should never be a sack, but it's all indecision for him. You can see what Ole Miss did, right? I said they dropped those, 4 inside underneath, but not really. It's kind of 4 deep. They've got 3 that are in zone coverage, but this defender right here, who's not in the pass rush, he is strictly reading and spying the quarterback the whole way. That's his job. And so that's who is free and come down and is able to get him when there's indecision. This is a really interesting play right here for Ole Miss. It turns into a big throw up the field. And the biggest thing is 3 down linemen are coming, and they're bringing 2 off the edge. So it's 5 men. It really winds up being 5 on 5 of the offensive linemen, even though the tight end's checking inside in here in protection. So they've got enough to protect, so quarterback's not really worried about it. But the biggest thing is the protection does hold up. You see a really good job by their offensive line, and now you got one free on the coverage, and I'll kind of show you what we can see. I don't have the all 22, but Alabama's bringing that safety down, and it's man-to-man. Now, you get an indication that it's man-to-man coverage by these 2 bump corners here on the edges of the formation. And then on the snap, you have him come flying down here too, because what he's doing is, I think, looking at this tight end. When the tight end goes opposite, he's supposed to be picked up by somebody else if he leaves, and the back comes out, and now that's his responsibility because he's on pass rush as well. So they're rotating that safety back to the middle of the field, so it's like man free. They're going to have him in the middle, but it's man free. And what happens is, this man-to-man responsibility breaks down partly because nobody gets home to the quarterback. You get an inside release. He comes across like he's going to go flat, and somewhere in here he gets lost. Now, I don't know if he gets picked kind of off the referee, and some people will actually run routes and rub off the official right there. But I think part of that too is he looks like he's going flat, and he's probably chasing, and then he turns it up and he can't catch him. And he's got to go around guys to get there. So by the time the ball's thrown to him, like he's by himself. You see 19 go across, and then his man-to-man defender just gets totally lost. He's not even in the picture. Comes way late, and it's a big play down the field. So I don't know if he fell down or if he hit a guy or what, but that's what happened. Part of what gets him open too is the back is checking. The coverage is up anyway, but he's checking initially. It's almost like a delayed release because he's checking on protection. Linebackers aren't coming, so now I'm out. And the reason you do that, now you got to go cover him here. And so it helps to make sure somebody's up. See, 30-17 chasing him. Protection was good, though. Left tackle, left guard, they all wind up 1-on-1. Center was 1-on-1. Right guard's 1-on-1. Right tackle, and the offensive line wins that one. So, these quarterbacks, you give them protection, and they'll make throws. Okay, and this is what looks to me like a quarterback draw call, because you do get a delay release and a blocker out in front too. And I think, this is smart game planning and that sort of thing. It's just a really smart play call. Maybe it's a deal where you line up in empty, look to the sideline once they've seen what the defense is doing, and then call the play accordingly, which that does happen a lot too. But we'll watch it here. They split the coverage. Only rush them 4. Coverage splits, and here you go. And there's a couple of things about it. Again, this is an offensive play call that says we know what they're going to do defensively against the empty right here in this part of the field. They are putting 3 receivers, and Alabama's putting 4 over the 3. Down here, 2 receivers, and Alabama's putting 3 over 2. See that? So they got 4 defenders here, 3 here. 3 over 2 and 4 over 3. We're going to have numbers. And so if they're in a coverage look right there, which they are, and they're not trying to bring anybody, then it's 4-man rush. Take 1 step back. That lets the linebackers flow out of there, and they're gone. So this is a play call to me of an offensive staff knows exactly what they're going to get out of a defensive staff in this situation. There's therefore a reason that both of your inside receivers are getting to the sideline. It is to try to pull people out of there in coverage. A draw on purpose, a step back, make it look pass, let them get into their pass, coverage, and now we're going to go. And you get a delay by, it's either the center or the right guard, one or the other, who leads him up the field. There's just nobody there. So perfect play call, execution, and that's a film work call right there, knowing what you're going to get. So this looks like the first play of the second quarter here, 1st and 10, and they're going to get a receiver all the way on the other side of the coverage with an underneath receiver here and just kind of hit him in this hole in the defensive coverage back here. Get you a good look at it. Play fake, I guess, kind of does its job, and then he's in that void there. Big throw, and that's, let's look. Ball's on the right hash, and, again, to me, this is not an easy throw. Well, and it's not the hardest throw, but it's a long throw. He's on the right hash, put his foot on the 28, then really step into it. Mechanics are just a little loose because you can see this is an all-arm throw right here. He's actually flipping that left knee and hip out, and this is an all-arm throw, and watch it. Throws it from the 28 on a dead rope up there to the 40, and that's a zip. They're just showing off some arm strength, but really comfortable throw. The ability is just there with this guy, no question about it. And what Ole Miss is doing is they kind of showing him pre-snap, 2 safeties in the middle of the field, but they are rotating back to a cover 3. He's got a deep third. It's one of these guys is going to get here, deep third, one is coming up. And the corner is deep third, and he runs way out of the screen. Part of the reason is you do get like a vertical release and then up and over, draw their attention. And then you draw the underneath coverage with the flat route from the tight end, so that he can come across and they kind of lose him as he crosses the field. So if you're going to cross the field, you got to have time, right? Well, what they're doing is using a tight end in a protection. So there's 6. The back after the play fake is in protection. So now there's 7. So you got 7-man protection against a 3-man rush. And Ole Miss tried to run a little bit of a twist here and here to confuse it, but it doesn't work. They just got too many bodies involved in protection. So therefore he's all day. Protect him and flick your wrist and throw it down there for a big completion. And so they come down here on the goal line, second goal, and this is really interesting to me because they're going to try to basically do what Ole Miss just did in the same part of the field. It's effectively like quarterback draw. It's got a little bit of a fake built in, but they're trying to let their quarterback run a touchdown right here. Sprint motion out to you. Now you got 4 on one side. Look at him, and now this becomes a draw, and you got a lead blocker, right? So step back, instead of straight drop back, I look at the screen. Like I pull him out of here. I'm looking to make it look like a screen in the back. Now follow my lead blocker straight up the middle. The deal is, though, Ole Miss had on a stunt. That was the perfect call at the right time. You run right into the quarterback right here. I'll show you what that is. Sometimes you just have it called right. So to the field, to the wide side of the field, they've got the 3 technique, or actually it's a shade nose going across and outside across the guard, and then the end 1 step and back to the inside. And normal pass pro, you're thinking it's pass, you probably hand this thing off a little better, but right here it gets the guard. So it gets really deep. And I think part of it is because you call and draw, you want these guys to get up out, and so you set this thing a little deeper because you want him to step up. That's where the play's going. Because of that, he goes across, the guard gets really deep and almost out of position, and now the twist comes right back into the running lane right here. So, it's the right call defensively at the right time. So then you wind up with what is an interception here in the red zone where you're trying to throw that corner route up top. And effectively what you would do is read this defender like a smash route where you have the underneath option and then the deep option based on what the defender does right there. They don't pressure him on 3rd and goal. They only rush 3, zone in the middle. They gave him a man-to-man look, but it's just not open. It's like, people watch this and go, how could he throw it right to a defender? Well, their coverage is switching this off down here. So on the snap, pre-snap, he has seen this alignment, knowing the routes that he has, and he automatically thinks that looks like man-to-man, and it definitely does. There's nobody back here hanging out in the end zone and all that kind of stuff. It definitely looks man-to-man. But on the snap, if you watch, you get the underneath route right here. But this defender passes it off effectively. It's like a man responsibility, but he's going to jump back here, and then somebody underneath is supposed to take this, and they leave the underneath open. So they in their coverage, you see how they switch that off? They're not treating it like man. They make it look like man, but it's not. What he's doing is a really good job. He is letting the inside go to another defender. He's going to fall back and take away anything on the corner, and then he would have to come and get underneath. And instead of reading the defenders, I think he's made his mind up already that he wants to throw this corner because he thought he had man. And this is what I'm talking about. You got to read it. You got to snap the ball and see if I'm supposed to read an underneath defender, where does he go? There's nobody underneath. So even though they got it covered, I got to shoot this thing to his outside shoulder, let him catch it because they've covered my end zone route. You can't throw things because you want to. You can only throw things because they're open. Here is a third down. It's actually 3rd and goal on the 18 after the block punt. They kept losing yardage here. And it's an example of how, reading against zone and hesitating is the only thing that really gets him in trouble, whether it be throwing it into coverage or at times getting, hit and dropped for a loss. And this is an example of that because they put a spy on him who's in the line of scrimmage. He kind of hides, and he's able to get him and get to him and make a play while Milroe's trying to decide, and is this throw or is this run? And, this is a tough deal. We've talked about this before, but, to grow as a QB, you got to be able to know, like, when I'm hanging in here, when I'm throwing against this coverage and reading it, where and when the ball comes out on time versus when I'm a runner. And when you decide to be a runner, go be one, but don't hesitate. I think probably is the coaching point right here. So regardless of the route, don't even worry about that. This being a 3rd and goal situation, they can easily drop and cover, down the field and not give you throws into the end zone. And what they're doing is they're showing you 4 on the front. There's only 3 with their hands down because one is walked up, and the one that's walked up is just kind of baiting you your protection because he is spying the quarterback. His responsibility this entire play is just wherever he goes, you go, right? So you only rush in 3. It's a 3-man rush, and it's picked up really well. He can help over there, so you get 2-on-1, you get 2-on-1, and then you single up a right tackle because the tight end and the back are out. So I guess, again, it's another example. The coaching point is this. If you're Milroe, that back foot hits, okay, and whether it's stepping up in the pocket or deciding to run, either one, make the decision now. Once you do this, once you climb, if you're not climbing with your eyes downfield about to make a throw, once those eyes come down, keep them down, and now you are a runner. When you're as fast as him, it's like having a tool that not everybody else has, but learning how to use it right all the time. What you don't want to do is be indecisive. So right now I'm a runner. Now I'm back to being a passer. Now I'm looking, I'm thinking. No, be a runner. Yes, it's 3rd and goal. And that's part of it too, is it's situational. It's not normal down and distance. Okay, so he's really wanting to make a throw. But in this case, run. Go ahead and get out here. Let him chase you. And if he doesn't get you, go run, see what you can do, get it out of bounds, make it easier on your field goal kicker. If not, maybe you get past him, can flip those shoulders and make a throw down the field. But I think the coaching point for him is really the only time you see him get caught on stuff like this is when he's a little hesitant on both what he is reading at the same time, whether or not he ought to run. And when you're him right now at this stage in his career, once you do this, now you're a runner. Forget about throwing a football. Now you're a runner. Put a move on him, go make a play. Hesitation gets you. Big go ball right here, just vertical up the field, running on a safety, and get crossers kind of in the middle of the field, and it does draw coverage, but what you effectively get is one receiver running in the middle of 2 defenders, and he just puts it up in the lights and lets this guy go get the football right here. Play action fake, plenty of protection, just a 4-man rush. Did have a little bit closing down on you, but that is a heck of a throw and catch right there. A couple things about it. Look at the protection. You do have a play fake built in. Tight end is staying in as well. So formationally, it does look like 2x2 tight to the formation because the tight end is eligible. And on the snap, tight end staying in to help. So it is automatically 6-man protection against a 4-man rush. The back is checking as well. He's not needed, so he's out. And on the route, initially pre-snap, it's kind of lined up like this quarter, half coverage with an underneath defender right here is what it's looking like. It's interesting what they do when the route crosses the face of this safety. He jumps all over it, and then he is not threatened underneath and gets out of there and going back. So you get 3 deep. I don't see a whole lot that would tell you, the read would tell you the ball goes here automatically because, he drops. So first thing you start thinking, well, that's taken away. But again, whether it's pre-planned, we're going to take a shot, or it's just a guy knowing, look, man, if I can get him even, I'll throw it down there and we'll take a shot on 2nd and 10. And that's what he does. The read itself, when this zone coverage, and you see, this crosser coming underneath, we got one here, and the underneath coverage is back behind that inside receiver. If the back gets out, the read probably tells you to go to the back, actually, if he's covered down the field, see? And so you hit him out of the backfield right here, he's going to catch it and make a first down for sure. The deal is, though, you just got a quarterback who knows what he has, and this is playing the position. And even with a little, somebody a little bit squeezing through, breathing down your neck, step in there, deliver the ball, put it out there. It's a heck of a catch, too, because, he had to turn over his shoulder. See him right there? He's looking over one shoulder. He's going to turn and find it over the other. And you can always tell by the shadow of the football where the sun is. It's pretty obvious he's looking in the sun, but when you see, the ball's on, watch the shadow of the football. Right when it comes to him, it is dead in the sun because that sunlight's coming right through the ball, putting the shadow on the field right behind him. So he's looking dead in the sun right here. Still finds it and catches it. That's a great play. Okay, I thought this was really well done here by Milroe because he's going to get, a twist in his face, unblocked, going to get tattooed, and just chooses a one-on-one go ball, puts it in the end zone to make a guy have to make a play, gives him a chance, and the receiver makes a heck of a play, hanging on to the ball. There's coverage there. You don't get a great look at it from this, but right here, there is a safety, back here down the field, in the middle of the field, assuming he's kind of over the ball on the hash back there. Okay, so you got that. And then inside release by this receiver running deep, takes it vertical. He's got somebody running underneath and over the top, and down here in the end zone, he puts the ball in that window for him. And he's just able to come down with, you see the inside release of the corner. That's the safety who's coming underneath it here, thinks he's going to make a play on the ball and catch it. If you're safety, your eyes light up, you're thinking this is a pick right here. But you don't quite get there. Receiver plays it better, corner's diving, and it's an example of trusting an athlete, put it down the field where only he can get it, and then see if he goes and gets it. And in this case, he does. You trust him. Back to the protection. Actually, he shouldn't be getting hit right here. Formation, you've got, bunch trips, including the H-back tight end, into the boundary, short side, and single receiver here. But this is a play-action fake that then involves the back and the tight end, right? So it's a play-action play where you got 5 linemen, one's going to pull, and everybody blocks back this way. Okay, tight end's going to check on this side, and then the running back after the fake is involved too. So that's 7. You have 7-man protection against a 4-man rush, and there's no reason you ought to be getting hit like this. So you see what's happening. Guards pulling over here and back here, so we're going to make it look like a run play, first of all. They are slanting this front on purpose across, the formation to bring that twist from the end back up in the middle, and it works perfectly because they got plenty of guys to block it, but you get caught. You pull over this way, pull this way. Here, your guard falls down, tackle's in good shape, and the tight end's left checking out here for nobody. The back winds up on this side helping with one who comes late when he sees play action. But the twist to the inside, nobody picks him up. And so that's one where it doesn't get handed off. And I assume the tight end is still checking on the outside because what he would expect, maybe their call is that you would hand this off and the center would get back in here. But they don't pick him up. You got plenty, but you don't pick him up and you get hits. Step into it, throw it, and the guy just makes a play. So when they got the lead, they began to run the ball a little bit, play with a little more physicality actually on both sides of the ball as this game went on. Here is trips with 2 tight ends and the receiver tight to the formation. So 3, and they're all eligible receivers, but they're tight to the formation on that side. That's the side they're going to run to with a single down here. And it's just comboing on the edge, tight ends or 2 tight ends together, and then up to the next level by the receiver, and it singles up this corner with the running back who bounces it out wide. And the first thing you got to do is block it up front where you don't get penetration. There's no slanting going on. The tight end and the tackle are comboing right there off of that end. You can see. You can barely see, actually. It's a long ways off. But that's what you're getting. Okay, so here's the offensive tackle. Down here on defensive tackle, comboing, hoping to get up to this linebacker. And the tight end makes a good decision. Just stay on him. Stay on him right there. Push. The tackle can't get through and cut him off. So, H-back is up. Receiver is up. You got it blocked. He squeezes through. But just because really the tight end's hanging in there where he's supposed to be and nobody gets knocked back or down, you got a fast enough running back to get to the edge. And then open field, this is what's supposed to happen. Starting running backs in the SEC, even if it's a corner, you need a corner to be a little better there, but that's what running backs do. And then they come down here and pull the guard and the H-back into the hole, and a little just half-step counter back into the hole. Meant to be an inside run with lead blockers, a little counter step, follow the H, and sift through, touchdown. So fourth quarter, 3rd and 11, Alabama really started to turn up their physicality, is what it looked like to me. Ole Miss here, 3rd and 11, so definite passing situation, down 2 touchdowns. Bunch receivers out on the hash, they go man-to-man, man here, free safety in the middle, it's man free. So outside of the running back, all these guys are free to come get you on 3rd and 11 if that's what they want to do, and that's what they're doing. And it's the 2 defensive ends who actually create this pressure and this big sack on 3rd and 11. Had a holding call in there to boot. What's interesting about this to me is Alabama's bringing 2 in 1 gap by going across here with nose and tackle, bringing nose and linebacker, bringing the other defensive tackle in on a twist along with the backer, trying to get them in a position where if the back stays in, the back can only block 1. And that happens, but that's not where the pressure comes from. You see him go across right there? So across. And we're going to loop around into that hole created and also bring a linebacker in it as well. And the back sitting there going, okay, I got to block 2 guys right here. And watch out what he does. Boom, hits him. I mean, he hits one and it holds the other one up. The back's actually doing all he could do. It's just that it's these 2 ends right here that bring the pressure. So one beats your right tackle one-on-one. This is a wide 9 speed rush here on the left. And because there's nowhere to go up, he decides to get out. Okay, so you get a holding right there. A really good move by the defensive end. And then 15, this is super athleticism right here. Go run him down. Okay, and this is later in the fourth quarter here. And you see, and another 3rd down. And look at the physicality here from Alabama. They've got initially lined up 2 by 2, but then motioning across is going to give it to him. And so Alabama, while they look like it's a coverage look maybe here in the secondary on 3rd and 6, they haven't jumped into anything to show you. And you've got 3 down and then 4 on the line of scrimmage. So they got 7 guys at the line of scrimmage walked up there. And Ole Miss obviously not checking out of a run play. Like if you put some sort of RPO tag on this thing where you can pull it if they stay up, then you're going to be able to throw a 1st down right here. But this is straight run play the whole way. Nobody's, run. It's not RPO. It's straight run. Both your receivers out on that side are trying to block, backs trying to block, everything. And they've just got it leveraged here. They've got it leveraged here because, again, their front with the 3 down is sort of balanced in the line of scrimmage. You got 1, 2, and 3 on the edge, but the 4th is also on the edge of the direction you're going to, the wide side of the field. So you're just running into that. Now, here's the thing. If it were a read, right here, where a lot of times, and again, I don't know how they're designing this, but a lot of times, you get this wide or going lateral like on, jet motion. And what the quarterback will do is read that, play side, inside linebacker, one or the other, depending on how they call it. And the action of that linebacker, if it flows out, then the quarterback will pull it and keep it and go north and south. So if there's a read built in, you might can pull this thing right here, and the run would come right back up into the way you're blocking it. You'd actually have a chance to pop it. So again, I don't know if it's a read called or not. They defend it, but it just shows you, you're trying to run jet sweep right here on 3rd and 6 and don't even get back to the line of scrimmage because they got numbers. They just had you a little bit more physical. So later in the fourth quarter, this is what happens to a guy when you start pressuring him and you're getting hit a bunch. You don't know you can trust your protection. Is, instead of driving up in the pocket and getting the ball out after, reading it, a little bit of mistrust in the whole thing here against coverage in a 4-man rush. They got a spy on you, and then here you go, and they get you. This is not trusting the right tackle at all. And I'm not saying that, you had a lot of time, but you did have 4-man protect. There's a pocket for you. Step in there, drive, throw. And if you're calm in a pocket right here, you got a first down. And it's easy to say from up here in the booth or whatever it is. It's a whole lot harder when you're on the field, especially when you're getting hit. But that's the point. When you've been getting hit and pressured and they've raised their physicality, it starts to speed guys up. And that's what happens, I think, here to Dart because, he's got a pocket to stand in there. And if he, reads it and sees man back on this side, he can throw this for a first down. You could drive this, but you got a safety waiting and maybe a back shoulder here with the guy over the top, and you certainly have the underneath, and it's 1st and 10. You can take it. So you got guys open, but he's freaking out just a little bit right here. That's what's going on. Coverage was pretty interesting to me because it looks like what Alabama did is they put a safety in the middle of the field and just matched it up, matching routes down here so it's like man-to-man, but up top, safety in the middle. This corner is going to bail and play a deep third responsibility. And you're going to get a zone defender here and a zone underneath defender there. So it's like zone on one side and treating it like man on the other, all in the same play. Routes, I think you had a go ball. Might even have a chance to throw that one, I think. Curl at the sticks. You get some form of inside vertical, outside vertical, and then underneath check down. And so, again, it comes up to be a matter of protection. They rush all 4, and this one is spying a quarterback. Right here in this, he didn't have a man responsibility against empty. But again, you drive it up in the pocket, you can make a throw right here instead, bailing out, kind of run into a guy. And so on 2nd and 14, they line up in 2-by-2 and are trying to, again, speed motion, a little toss forward and try to get it out here and either go wide or find that cutback and get vertical and get some of it back on 2nd and 14. But you bust on the front. They're trying to bring the tackle outside of the next level on this sweep and have the guard come all the way out here on 15, and he just can't get there. Everybody can see it coming at him. You see him just step right through. That guard has no shot really at getting his head across, and this is one where you just run right into him. It's a pretty easy play, all things considered. All right, thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed that. Looks to me like Alabama's defense is good and certainly capable of being good. When teams have had time, they've been able to hit some throws, but that looks to me to be the key. Don't give them time, right? And for Ole Miss, it almost just looks like they don't quite have the horses up front on the line of scrimmage that some of these other teams do. They got some young players playing as well, but this is a nice win for Alabama. It really was. Hope you enjoyed that. Thanks for watching. I'll see you on the next one.